Hello, welcome to the Lounge with Annette, and welcome to me reading the book of the month. And the book of the month is It's Not All Downhill from Here by Terry McMillan. And today may be a long video because I'm playing catch up. It is March the 4th, so I'm going to have to read 4 chapters. And I might release 2 videos, 2 chapters in this video and then 2 chapters in the next. Are you ready? Okay, chapter 1. I don't want another surprise party, which is just one reason why a few weeks ago when my husband Carl called while I was walking our dog BB King to the dog park and asked what I wanted to do for my birthday this year. I politely said, "Baby, let's try to figure out how to get our second wind." At first, Carl high-pitched chuckled like he was a soprano or something. Then he said, "We will need a boat." I chuckled right back, even though I was serious as a heart attack. "Don't you worry, Miss Lowe. I've got you covered," he said as he hung up. I knew he didn't really get my drift. What I meant was, since we both had more days behind us than we have ahead of us, how about we try to figure out what move we can do to pump up the volume? It's not that our life is boring. Well, maybe it is, a little. But even though we don't do very many things that generate excitement, I still love him more than my Twizzlers. Carl is a retired contractor who refuses to retire. And after 30 years of all work and no play selling hair and beauty products in 2 stores too many, I don't exactly qualify as a thrill a minute either. I released BB King leash inside the dog park, but he just stood there shivering as if he were waiting to be invited to participate in some activity that didn't require him to run or jump. In human years, he and I will soon be the same age, 68. His whiskers and eyebrows are all peppered with gray, but unlike me, BB doesn't dye his hair. He is our 3rd German Shepherd, and I don't want to think about how long it will be until he doesn't want to or can't hop in the back seat of my Volvo station wagon, which I will drive until, like me, it stops running. I sat on the green metal bench and watched him sniff a friendly chocolate poodle. I realized I was hoping and praying I wasn't going to have to sit through yet another lackluster party where nobody even thinks about dancing until they hear a song you have to be damn near 70 to remember, which I suppose now includes me. And that's if you call doing the cha-cha in flats or 2-inch wedges with rubber soles to a beat they all hear differently. Dancing, I don't. I watch music videos on YouTube. I find myself rocking with Future size 12 hips, swinging and swaying my shoulders and popping my fingers to likes of Single Ladies or Uptown Funk by that little cute Bruno Mars until I have to wipe my forehead. I have not forgotten how to dance. In fact, sometimes Carl will sit in his leather recliner, lean way back, and just watch me swirl around in my 3-inch heels, which I wear to work every day because I like to appear glamorous. In those moments, I feel pretty and sexy and 40. Carl just nods his head like he's agreeing and pops his finger until the smile on his luscious lips begins to disappear. Then he might hold up his index finger, suggesting that I give him a minute but don't stop dancing. Slowly push himself up to a standing position and limp down the hallway to take one of his little blue pills. Oh hell, here I go again. Mentoring. I'm just going to have to stop apologizing for it because from what I've learned reading my AARP newsletter, this is only the beginning. Though, truth be told, forgetting what I was talking about and going off on tangents isn't completely new to me. Back in my 20s, I smoked a lot of reefer with my friends. We'd all sit in a circle on the floor and on giant pillows and have deep conversations about the purpose of life or something having to do with God or how we are going to change the world. But then we all stopped talking because we were suddenly mesmerized by the lava lamp. Then somebody would realize they were one step away from freaking out and would jump to a standing position in order to snap out of it. And then they'd ask, what the fuck were we just talking about again? And since not one of us had a clue, we just start passing the joint until the next philosophical inquiry overtook our minds. Thank God I got tired of thinking about things that didn't matter and realized I liked the way I felt when I wasn't under the influence of anything. And when I didn't like how I felt, it was a hell of a lot easier to figure out how to deal with it when my head was clear. Anyway, now I'm a certified senior citizen, and my mind has earned the right to go wherever it wants. So I decided that when I can't remember something, it must not have been that important anyway. But sometimes when I do remember, it feels like an accomplishment. Like right now, I'm remembering last year's Dole party. My feelings were hurt because both my twin sister Odessa and my one and only daughter Jalecia have been no-shows. Now Odessa is a bitch and proves it on a weekly basis. Like I said, she's my twin, but there are two things about us that make us special. First of all, we were born in different years. I'm December 31st and she's January the 1st. We are also technically only half sisters, even though we're fraternal twins. Apparently, Mom was a hot number back in the day and slept with two different fellas only days apart. This probably explains why we are nothing alike and why we're not as chummy as most twins. Mom didn't bother to tell us this until we were in junior high, but by then we weren't interested in who our daddies were. And it's a fact that Odessa had been jealous of me for years. Jealous I was crowned the first black homecoming queen at our predominantly white high school 50 years ago. Even though I wasn't pretty then, and I'm not pretty now, jealous I know how to make myself appear to be more attractive than I am, and occasionally still get honked at. Jealous of my being a successful entrepreneur. She has never once come into my Pasadena store, never once given me a compliment, no matter how nice I might look. I didn't know our lives were a contest. I love her, but in all honesty, I don't really like her. And if she wasn't my sister, I probably wouldn't have anything to do with her. Right before Odessa took early retirement at 50 from her job as a policewoman from the city of Pasadena, her husband left her for a 43-year-old ex-Lakers cheerleader who could still do the splits. Odessa wiped him out and bought a house that seemed purposely much bigger than mine up in the hills of Altadena. Then she started going to church like some people go to AA. Her personality changed after the Holy Ghost struck her, but she doesn't seem to see how unhappy she still is, or acknowledge that maybe God intentionally leaves some gaps for us to fill in. She started acting like she would get electrocuted from a mere whiff of alcohol. Before she retired, she lived in bars and just sat around waiting to arrest somebody. But now she won't go inside any establishment where liquor is poured. My daughter, on the other hand, has the opposite relationship to alcohol. She's had an ongoing, off-again love affair with alcohol, and lately with some of these designer pain pills for people who aren't in pain. I fired her from my store for stealing from me. Me, her own mother, who gave her a job because she hasn't figured out what to do with her life after 40 years. That is apparently my fault because I had a job and then a business and then a divorce, So her failure to launch is payback for my not having been present enough or generous enough. But I couldn't be everywhere at once, and I'm tired of being punished for it. She didn't come to my party and hasn't spoken to me in more than a year. All I can say is thank God for sons, or I should say son, since I only have one. Jackson is Jaleesa's younger brother and the product of my second marriage. He wasn't at my party last year either, but he had a good reason. He lives in Tokyo with his wife, Yoko, who had just given birth to premature twin daughters. They still needed a few more months to grow, and they needed their daddy there. My BFF was there, though. Lucky, Sadie, and Corinthia. Even Poochie made the trip from Vegas. I grew up with all of them. Occasionally, we all get on one another's nerve, sometimes to the point that our friendships get temporarily annulled. But we always come running back because we have loved one another longer than some of us have loved the men in our lives. This morning, right after I felt Carl kissing me on the forehead and he knew I was awake even though my eyes were closed, he said, "So, we're good then, cutie." I smiled, looked up at him, then tugged at the metal button on his coverall pocket and said, "I suppose I'm just going to have to trust you, mister." "Good. Just wait until you see how much fun you're going to have for finally taking a direct order from your husband." I gave him an "aw shucks, but get out of here before I change my mind" shove. He stood inside the doorway. His silver afro almost touched the top of the frame, and those broad shoulders reminded me that he was once a wide receiver. I wish I had known him when he was still catching footballs. But all things considering, he caught me at the right time, when my kids were well on their way to being grown and gone. Carl came into the shop one day to buy some horsetail shampoo for himself, and I laughed and he told me I smelled like ginger. I couldn't help but notice there was no gold band on his left finger. He told me he owned a construction company and handed me his black business card with smooth white letters and said if I ever needed any improvements, I should feel free to call him. And I did. But it was me who got renovated. I hear that. "Hold on," he said. "What did you want for your birthday again?" I let out a long sigh. "Some skinny jeans." "You got it, girlie. Now stay put, and I'll see you when I see you." He limped out the door backwards. Carl had pleaded with me to take the weekend off, which was why I'd given in and closed the Pasadena store by putting a sign on the door that said, "Water damage, will reopen Monday," because you have to have legitimate sounding reasons to close a beauty supply store. And since I can't really trust the two young ladies who work for me, their days are numbered, I paid them for the missed shift and told them I was having some plumbing work done. They pretended to care. I don't like to close except when I'm sick, which is not often. I make most of my money on weekends and holidays, which folks use as an excuse to buy more beauty products than they need. It used to be mostly young women who spent a ton of money at the House of Beauty and Glamour, but now it's seasoned women and a lot of men. My goal is to help them look and feel beautiful. This is precisely why whenever I leave the house, except when I'm walking BB King, I try to make sure I look like I'm headed somewhere important. My mother raised me this way. The only place you should look bad is at home. And if you look good, you will feel good. Folks are always asking me what I used to do for a living, since it's obvious I look like I get Social Security. I tell them I sell beauty. I leave off products since it's the truth. Even though I have my share of new wrinkles, which I prefer to call beauty marks, they're hard to see since I'm dark brown, and I use a good concealer to smooth them out. I know they're there though, and that I've earned them. My real hair color is a boring mixed gray, but I dye it what I like to call sexy silver. And for the record, I wouldn't be caught dead wearing anything but red lipstick. I make exceptions to this rule depending on my outfit, which might require a hot pink or burnt orange, but that's as far as I go. Okay. The reason Carl left early was to oversee the installation of new cabinets and a kitchen sink in one of our rental apartments. I'm almost ready to give this one away. Rental property is hardly worth the income. All you do is put it back into the property. But Carl likes to stay busy. He will spend most of the day zigzagging back and forth between there and Mom's empty house. The house Carl and I brought her. He is supervising its renovation after she caused it to catch fire. Fortunately, we moved Ma into Valley View, a lovely assisted living residence, but she still thinks she's moving back into the house, which she is not. She has lost her red Corolla in too many parking garages and had one too many fender benders because she was confusing the brake with the gas pedal. She is safe now. Unlike Ma, Carl has refused to accept the fact that at 73, with both knees full of arthritis, he is handicapped. He won't use his cane, but I know when he's in pain, he limps harder, even if he rarely complains. I feed BB King, then pour myself a bowl of granola that tastes like straw and drown it in a cup of tasteless almond milk. I got them both at Whole Foods, where I have recently started shopping sometimes to impress my doctor. After my life-changing breakfast, BB King brings me his leash, and I decide I can only take him on a short walk because I have a lot of things to do today. As soon as he realizes we're not heading toward the dog park, he tries to pull me in that direction. I suppose he wants to see his new girlfriend, but I don't give in. When I see a mother coming towards us, taking a video of her little girl in a stroller, tugging the strings on a cluster of yellow and white balloons, it dawns on me that Carl filmed my last birthday party. After BB and I get home, I sift through a stack of DVDs until I see the one that says Laretha's 67th birthday bash. Unfortunately, I've forgotten how to work the DVD player because we've hardly used it since we started streaming Netflix. They've become pretty much obsolete, much the way I've started feeling sometimes. As quiet as it's kept, I have finally realized that I will never look like I did last year or the year before that. I'll never be able to do some of the things I once did, and I'm still not sure what I was supposed to learn from that. What I was supposed to learn that I haven't. When I see the title card for my party appear on TV, I'm grateful I was able to get it work. I gulp down the rest of my bottled water, kick off my sneakers, flop down on the sofa, and press play. It starts with the senior citizen version of Soul Train Revisited. When I hear BB snoring, I fast forward to the touching toast my girlfriends made and remember they sounded more like testimonials from old Oprah Winfrey shows. Here's hoping you don't have any reason to be admitted to the hospital or to visit anybody else. This is not the kind of shit you say to someone at their This is not the kind of shit you say to someone at their 67th birthday party, but Sadie meant well. She is a semi-attractive spinster who loves visiting sick people, especially if they're still in the hospital. And she doesn't miss a funeral, even when she doesn't know the deceased. She's a retired librarian, but I think Sadie missed her calling because she acts like she's on stage the way she presses a palm against her flat chest when she reads the name of the sick and shut in, along with those who recently passed in the church bulletin. "Why didn't you cry?" she asked me once. I told her, because it's hard to cry for a stranger. I have not been back since she went and joined the choir and brags about her solos. I heard they're always off key and that it's mostly relatives who yell out, "Praise the Lord, Sister Sadie." I have to admit it, but lately, instead of church, I've been going to movie matinees, mostly for the senior citizen discount. Carl usually relaxes and watches sports. It's not that we're not religious. I grew up going every Sunday, so I just feel like I've heard it all before. And even though I know I can sometimes be opinionated, every once in a while prone to harmless gossip, and occasionally a flat-out bitch, I do believe in God and I try to live a Christian life. For tune-ups, I watch church on TV, which I can attend in my PJs. Or sometimes I record it to watch while having dinner with my husband. As I sit watching my party on screen, I realize that all of my friends are retired except me. That's probably why most of them are bored. It's like they're sitting around just waiting to die. But I do not subscribe to that belief that it's all downhill from here. Life isn't over after 65. I feel like a car. As long as I change the oil and rotate the tires, I can get plenty more mileage out of it. Easier said than done. I think Sadie's just lonely. She's never been married and never seemed to care. "Do you think you might be a lesbian?" I asked I asked her about 30 years ago when she was more attractive. She got mad for my even asking. I told her not to get so worked up. Even back then, every lesbian I ever met was happy to be a lesbian. What's sad is I don't believe Sadie ever even had sex. She has no idea how much pleasure she's missed, and she strikes me as the type who would be too scared to even consider pleasuring herself. Not that I ever have. I push the coffee table a few inches away with my feet, then cross my legs and lean forward when I see Corinthia's tall, slender frame appear on the TV. "Here's hoping you'll consider hiring a seasoned woman for your Pasadena shop," she says, pointing to herself, "and not the one in LA, because I'm not getting on that 10 freeway for no amount of money. Period. Actually, I think you should sell the LA store because you're too old to be this busy. And plus, you don't need the money. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, you should be willing to hire me to work part-time for a few dollars over minimum wage. Because I'm bored, mind you. Not because I need the money. Unlike those young hoochies who spend more time primping in the countertop mirror than they do helping a loyal customer find a decent mixed gray synthetic ponytail or the best scalp treatment for thinning hair. I don't want to waste any more time, but if I did, I'd also add that they don't have a clue about what kind of makeup covers puffiness under your eyes. And that's all I have to say. Okay. Corinthia can and will talk you to death if you don't cut her off. She is also a beautiful, slender giant. She's 6'1" and the only one out of us who still has her college weight. Not that she went to college. She was too impatient. 4 years is too damn long not to be making any money. For most of her adult life, Corinthia bartended at clubs and waitressed at 24-hour restaurants. She'd brag, "I get paid in cash and can get to keep every dime I make." But Corinthia, who didn't marry any of the 3 men who fathered her 3 children, never thought that one day she would get old and need Social Security and Medicare. And now she wants me to hire her? But her people skills are rough since her customers were almost always drunken or high. I will give her this. She insisted that her kids go to college. They all live in San Diego now. When her parents died, she inherited a few funeral parlors, and unlike Sadie, Corinthia is afraid of the dead, so she sold the business. To this day, she has yet to figure out what to do with her free time, except exercise. She looks so good, she pisses us all off. BB King lets out a stinking fart. I started fanning the air with both hands, but it doesn't cut it. So I open the front door and shoo him out so I can go back to the video. Next up is Lucky, whose real name is Elizabeth Taylor. Lucky said her mama was tripping after seeing National Velvet, which was why Lucky changed her name to one she liked. Not legally, of course. Here's praying you trade in that ugly Volvo station wagon. It is a birthday party. Okay. Lucky has always been a confused elist. She thinks the kind of car you drive defines you, along with your zip code. She used to be a customer for game shows and some TV commercials, but now spends her time shopping and cooking and eating. Lucky, who never had kids because she never wanted any, lives above the Rose Bowl, but has never bothered to walk the 3.1 miles around it. When she wakes up, she looks straight ahead at the San Gabriel Mountains. I can also see those mountains from my bedroom window, but I have to look up. She drives a 9-year-old gold Lexus that she's had at least 6 accidents in because Lucky can't navigate turns. Yes, I drive a 12-year-old white Volvo. It's a safe car, and I'm a paranoid driver and have a bad habit of tapping the brakes. Besides, people feel sorry for you driving a Volvo station wagon, especially with an old dog in the back seat who looks like he's being kidnapped. But I know for a fact BB King loves it, because once when the Volvo was in the shop and I had a rental car, he refused to get in it. Hold on a minute, I forgot. Here's hoping you finally hit your healthy weight goal by this time next year. Woo, are they really friends? Lucky has a lot of nerve bringing this up. She who still pretends she's a size 16. But Lucky take pills for high cholesterol because she's addicted to fried everything. Rocky Road ice cream and any kind of pie. I'm not too far behind her on the scale, but I'm not on any diet. I like my curves, and so does Carl. Anyway, after 45 years, Lucky is still happily married to Joe, who is white and a retired architect, who now builds miniature houses but rarely comes out of the big one they live in. Us girls all like him, but we do think he's a little odd. I won't lie, the last time I saw Dr. Alex Locopus, that's his last name, I'll check that up. She had the nerve to tell me that I'm heavier than I should be. She also claims I'm borderline diabetic and that it would be in my best interest if I lost about 25 pounds, but preferably 30 pounds, which I think is ridiculous. I'm big bone, I've told her, and I'm black. We have big hips and it's genetic. She doesn't buy it. To be honest, it's hard to change old and especially bad habits. If you want to prevent future health problems, Miss Curry, you need to cut back on fat, carbohydrate drinks, soda, and sugar, and perhaps consider an exercise. It's never too late. I don't like anybody telling me what to do. I told her I try to eat light, which was a lie, and that I walk my dog every day, which wasn't. She said at my age, walking my dog didn't really qualify as a cardiovascular workout. I've been trying to keep up the nerve to fire her, if you can fire a doctor. I haven't been back to see her since last year, and I've been so busy running the house of beauty and glamour that I haven't had time to incorporate exercise into my daily routine, although I've been thinking about it. No, I haven't. It hasn't even crossed my mind. I admit it. I don't like gyms because most of the people in them are either young or already in good shape. They make me feel plump and old, even if technically I'm both. My doctor told me to consider giving spinning a try, and I wanted to tell her she should consider getting a makeover. She looked like Grandpa from the Munsters with that dirty blonde see-through hair. But even though I wouldn't admit it to her, I went ahead and pled guilty to being lazy to myself and decided I would start cutting back one by one on Twizzlers, Baskin Robbins, Quarterback Crunch ice cream, Roscoe's fried chicken, cheeseburgers, French fries, and French bread, gravy, all muffins, and during the holiday, I can only have one of either peach cobbler, sweet potato, or bread pudding. I even tried saying eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but have not had as much success as I had hoped for. I have no willpower. My newly revised plan, however, is to try harder. I'm going to think hard about dieting and make some changes. Starting New Year's Eve, which is still a day after my birthday. Here's hoping you start carrying Vivica Fox wigs so I don't have to order them online. Oh, that's my girl Faye, who passed away 6 months ago from lung cancer. A few weeks after my birthday, I had driven out to see her in San Bernardino. She was sitting on her sun porch behind the screen smoking a cigarette. She was down to about 100 pounds and her brown skin was dull, as if someone had sprayed her with dust. I got the first shipment of wigs week after she died. I missed her something fierce. I hit pause, wiped my eyes, and just stared at her face. She was so pretty. Her cheekbones made my face look like a brown heart. She looked like Lena Horne's clone. She tried the patch, hypnosis, gum, but she says cigarettes relaxed her and she was willing to take her chances. That is the stupidest shit I ever heard, I told her. You act like you never had a bad habit, Lo. None that will kill me, was what I remember saying, wanting to believe nothing would ever happen to her, even though she already had that cough. For the longest time, I will dial her number hoping she would answer, but then immediately press in when I realize what I've done. It takes longer than I ever imagined to accept that someone you've known all your life is not alive anymore. I have not been able to delete her number from my cell phone. I want her to know she still exists for me. Since Faye has been gone, I have often thought about how I'm going to die, but I don't tell anybody, not even Carl. What I do know is I don't want it to be because of something I did to myself or because of what I neglected to do. When I hear BB King whining, I press pause before Poochie can start talking and get up to let him in. Here's hoping you give our cruise to nowhere another chance, Laretha. It's been 3 years and we want you back. Right, ladies? And the other ladies scream out loud, yes! Poochie has been old longer than the rest of us. She could not have kids, which is probably why she became a special needs nurse. And she mothers anybody who needs mothering. If you're hurt, she will rub your back, rock you back and forth, and squeeze you until you fall asleep. Dennis, her husband of 30 years, died of renal failure almost 10 years ago. He was a smart stockbroker and left her sloppy rich, but Pookie just gave up on ever finding love again. You just make yourself forget how good it felt, she said. But what she does But what she does still love is water and big boats, which is why after Dennis's death, she became our residential cruise organizer. I don't like floating, and I'm not crazy about the ocean because I almost drowned when I was 9. Poochie begged me to try just one cruise and promised I wouldn't even get wet. And since everybody in our posse was going, I huffed and puffed and I gave in. It was one cruise too many. I did not have fun. I didn't understand what there was to like about the entertainment. It was always singers you never heard of who sparkled in sequined evening gowns and shimmied in white fringe or did the temptation walk in tight tuxedos with buttons that looked like they were begging for another 2 inches. And I never heard anybody in the casino shrieking with joy because they hit the jackpot. The shrieking was mostly from folks pounding on the slot machine because they hadn't won, including me. What gave me the heebie-jeebies more than anything was that you could only get off the damn ship in Mexico, and I was too scared to eat or drink anything ashore, so I stayed on board. My friends abandoned me for 8 long hours, and I vowed not to ever cruise anywhere again. Ooh, that's my experience too. I hate to say it, but I secretly thank God when Poochie moved to Las Vegas to take care of her ailing mother. So once every few months we take the midnight casino bus up to visit, and Poochie meets us at the tables or the slots. Each time I've crossed my fingers and prayed she wouldn't bring up a plan for me to try another damn cruise. So far, so good. After the toast, which seems less uplifting today than they did at the time, we all lined up at the buffet of fried chicken, barbecue ribs, baked beans, a grande potato, some kind of salad, collard greens, and cornbread. We stuffed ourselves. Carl tied the cluster of yellow balloons to the back of a chair so they wouldn't pop when I blew out the wick on the thick yellow wicks of the thick yellow 6 to 7 candles. I remember how after the cake, I found a quiet spot to observe all the people I cared about and who cared about me. I know I judge them harshly sometimes, and I judge myself too. I lie to myself about myself. I made a promise that night to be kinder to myself and to my friends because none of us is perfect. I have not been as successful as I hoped. As Sadie sliced pieces of chocolate cake and put them in aluminum foil she had already measured for everyone to take home, I turned to my guests and said with the utmost sincerity, "Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtfulness and love. Now go on back to the senior facility before they send the geriatric police to come get all of your behinds." Some laughed, some didn't. I didn't care because it was my birthday. Carl gave me pearls and his X-rated toast in private. Okay, hold on, y'all. I need to see how much longer this chapter is, cause okay, that's pretty long, y'all. This video is gonna be a little long. I ain't gonna get chapter 2 in. When I clicked off the DVD, BB King goes to stand, but he slips on the hardwood floor. I helped him up and make a mental note to buy some bigger throw rugs, which is when I feel my cell phone shivering in my jacket pocket. I pull it out and see that I have a text from Cinnamon, my oh so cool granddaughter. I hope like hell she isn't about to tell me their rent is going to be late. "Grandma, I'm so sorry that Jonas and I won't be able to make it to your birthday party tomorrow. We both have to work, but have fun. Oh, FYI, I doubt if my mom is going to be there because I know she's still not ready to surrender. But I trust God will bring you two back together when it's time. But happy birthday. Made you something totally groovy." I text my space cadet granddaughter back, not to worry, and thanks for sharing. Don't work too hard, and I hit send. I knew it. I just knew it. When I told Carl I would prefer not to have any more birthday parties until I was in a wheelchair or something, he must have just thought I was joking. But I wasn't. I know he means well, but I'm pissed. I don't feel like celebrating my birthday at the same old restaurant with the same old friends, and it looks like this will be the exact repeat of last year, down to the no-shows. Odessa owes me money for 2 mortgage payments I helped her out with, and liquor will of course be served. Wait. Odessa owes me money for 2 mortgages payment I helped her out with, and liquor will of course be served, so she's probably a no. And Cinnamon, she must think I'm already senile or stuck on stupid because the last time I checked, she doesn't have a legitimate job to skip my party for, not one that pays her on top of or under any table, at least not on a regular basis. Her live-in boyfriend, Jonas, also has an ongoing struggle with employment, which is why they are always late with the minor rent we do charge them for their 1-bedroom, 2 mini apartments in a building we own. No, the real reason they're bowing out is because Carl and I are old, which to them means dull. I don't really blame them because when I was young, my sister and I dreaded visiting relatives too, especially the old ones who were at least 50 or the really old ones who were over 60. I didn't like the way their houses smell, and I dreaded having to hug them because they were soft and squishy and their eyes looked like they were full of bad memories. They wanted us to do all the talking, and I would just watch how slow the hands on the big brown clock moved because I was just waiting to see how much longer it was going to be before we could leave. So I know why Cinnamon and Jonas are always in a hurry when they stop by or to drop off the rent, why they leave their 2006 used to be black, but is now many different shades of gray Prius running in front of the house, even though it's hard to rush in those Crocs they both wear. It is because they have nothing to say to us, and yet they try. BB King is looking healthy. What a groovy nail color, Grandma. It sure smells good in here. It's been so hot out, hasn't it? Sometimes after they leave, Carl and I just sit there counting how many questions these two didn't ask. How many times they said groovy. I've never known any black person who used this word groovy, not even when stoned. These two would fit right in at Woodstock. But what I'm really wondering is just how long Jalecia plans holding a grudge for everything she thinks I owe her. Kids can be cruel and ungrateful, but I'm not going to beg my daughter to forgive me for something I didn't do. And now I'm going to have to pretend I don't know Carl is having another birthday party for me and then act surprised when we get there. The truth is, I'd much rather spend a quiet night alone with Carl. Maybe find a good movie to watch on television. Call one of those new delivery service to order angel hair pasta with prawns and some garlic bread and a good salad from our favorite Italian restaurant. We could have some raspberry sorbet and not too many glasses of wine so that we still have energy to rendezvous. Yeah, that word. Rendezvous. Something we do at least once or twice. If we're lucky, 3 times a month, but definitely on our birthdays and major holidays. Carl doesn't get home until almost 6, tired as a dog. He leaves his dirty work boots by the side door, gives me my regular peck on the cheek since his face is dusty, then takes his usual shower and comes back looking like an old basketball star in one of 5 or 6 gray Under Armour sweatsuits. He sits down at his end of the maple table. You said you didn't want another party, so I honor your wishes. But just do me a favor and keep your calendar clear tomorrow evening. Could you do that for me? Yes, I can. What should I wear? Something pretty. Any special perfume? He winks at me. Did everything go okay today? I know that's probably a dumb question based on what time it is. You never miss a beat. I have to go back over to the house in the morning, but I'll be back before lunch and in plenty time to get cleaned up. I hope you like this chili, is all I say. Carl is gone when I wake up, but sitting on the chest of drawers is a giant bouquet of yellow roses with red tips in a giant yellow envelope with a card inside that I decide not to open until tonight. I hope we don't get home too late, and I hope he'll take one of his little pills so we can complete the celebration of my being alive. 24,820 days. Yes, I did the math. When I walk into the bathroom, there's another bouquet of white roses on the sink and a post-it on the mirror that says, "Happy birthday, you sweet young thing. Be back before lunch." I do love this man, even if he sometimes doesn't listen to me. I'm anxious all morning, watching the sun turn from white to yellow, which is why I've been in the backyard on my knees, digging in dirt, planting a flat of yellow, purple, lime, and white zinnias, and painstakingly surrounding them with red petunias because even though I love to garden, right now, I'm really just killing time. I also can't believe I have not gotten a single birthday call from anybody. I keep digging. You need help? I look up at Carl, smile, and shake my head no. He bends down and kisses me on both cheeks, then whispers, "Happy birthday, beautiful." He stands back up, and that's all you get for now. He is silly, but it's what I like most about him. He is still handsome, and his skin, unlike mine, is as smooth as satin gloss brown paint. I have to admit, Carl is one patient man. I know I am not the easiest person to please, but he doesn't seem to mind. Don't wear yourself out now. You know I've got plans for you this evening, so don't mess up your nails. He walks over to close the gate to the pool, which neither of us ever gets in. I can't swim, and I'm not interested in learning. But I do like to sit on the edge and kick my feet. Every now and then, Carl will pretend to do kicking exercise for his arthritis, but mostly he just throws the ball in for BB King, who gets more use out of the pool than we do. I take off my gloves and show him how pretty my pink nails still are, and then I slide the glove back on like a stripper. What kind of plans? I ask, just to sound curious. Okay. I know you're fully aware that I am having a party for you, so just try to act surprised. Would you do that for me, sugar? What would make you think I already know? Because I know Cinnamon told you. How would you know that? Because I told her to keep her big mouth shut, which I knew was impossible. It's okay. But Carl, you promised me no more surprise parties. I know, but this one is going to be very special. I'll take your word for it, sweetheart. He winks at me. I yank the hem of his jeans with one of my raw hide gloves, and he jumps up and down as if I just tickle him. Carl still gives me goosebumps. He's been my husband for 24 years. I'm not ashamed to admit that I've been married 3 times. That's how many times it took me to get it right. I've taken to thinking of each one as a vehicle. Antoine was the Ford, Elijah was the Dodge pickup, and Carl is my Mercedes Benz. He runs really well and he's built to last. The reservation is for 7 if you can make it. I'll be ready, Carl. How ready? I toss some peat moss on top of his gray Nikes. Well, I still got a few errands to run, so I'll see you later, cutie. I love it when he calls me that. He rubs the top of my straw hat, and I watch him limp away. I don't hear the doorbell, but B.B. King comes to the back door and barks to let me know someone is at the front. I struggle to get to a standing position, and when I finally make it inside, I'm clearly too late because I don't see a face through the glass. I open the door, and there on the porch, blocking the doorway, is what looks like a nursery of 6 or 7 giant bouquets. I am ashamed of myself for being such a whiny, cranky, judgmental old bitch. My friends do care about me. I decided to read the cards later. After I pack up my gardening tools and place them inside the adorable shed Carl built for me, B.B. King creeps over to the stairs out of line of fire. And when I turn on the hose and twist the sprocket to spray a strong mist over the limp zinnias and petunias, I wonder when and why and how I became so damn pessimistic. I don't like this personality trait, and I hope it's not too late to change it. It takes all day for 7 o'clock to get here, and I can't wait to get this over with. You look stunning, Carl says when I walk out of the bedroom in the hot pink skirt suit I brought at Nordstrom Rack last year, and I'm just glad I was still able to squeeze into it. Thank you, Carl, I say, glad he approves. He looks good in the black suit, black shirt, and light blue tie I got him for his birthday last year. He has been standing out here in the living room waiting for me because he doesn't want to wrinkle his suit before we get to the restaurant. I don't know why he got all dudded up just to go there. It's not like we're going to some swank 4-star eatery in Beverly Hills. We need to step on it low because you know there's always traffic. Traffic? We shouldn't have to get on a freeway to go where I thought we were going. Maybell's Soul Food Dining Room. Maybe Cinnamon got it wrong. But wait, did she tell me where my party was going to be? I don't remember. Maybe I made this jump myself. I decided for once to keep my big mouth shut. When Carl opens the door for me, I notice luggage on the back seat of his black Explorer. Are we staying at a hotel afterwards? Why are you so nosy? I put my flowered purse on the floor next to my pointy black patent leather pumps and try to cross my legs without success. I turn on the XM Soul Station, and when I realize we're heading towards 210 Freeway, I turn to Carl and say, "Hold on a minute. When Cinnamon told me about the party, I just assumed it was Maybell's." You assume too much, Lo. Well, where are we going? And why'd I get all dressed up? We're on our way to Palm Springs. Palm Springs? You mean I'm not having a party? Nope. Then why did you tell Cinnamon and then me that I was? Because I wanted to throw you off. Because you always think you've got everything figured out, which I love about you. But I'll bet she didn't tell you she's pregnant now, did she? Don't answer that. Please don't tell her I told you. Anyway, I called all your girlfriends 3 weeks ago, begged them not to bring up celebrating your birthday this year because I knew you were sick of the same old things. For once, they listened to me, but it cost me. What do you mean, it cost you? Promise me you won't interrupt me before I finish. I promise. Carl doesn't say anything. He turns the music down. Oddly enough, now I'm disappointed I'm not having a party. And I'm furious that my stupid ass granddaughter is going to be a parent. I wonder if Jalecia knows she's going to be a grandmother or if she even gives a damn. I wonder why Cinnamon told Carl and not me. But I can't worry about any of this tonight. I still have lingering nerves and suspicions because I was all set for a party and now Carl has added a whole new layer of surprise. I kick off the stupid heels that were already starting to hurt, and I think how I should have put the hooks on my bra in the first instead of the second row. I do my best to take tiny sips of cool air and try not to ask too many questions. And then I hear Carl say, "Isn't that sunset gorgeous?" I turn to look. All sunsets are gorgeous. He's stalling or mad at me now. "Yes, it is, Carl. I'm sorry. I'm all ears." He turns the radio down even though Tina Turner is just starting to sing what I know are the first few chords of What Love Got to Do with It. And I try to be patient by clasping my fingers into a church and then steeple. Then just when I'm about to open the door and see all the people, I hear him say, "Okay, so your friends were a little sensitive about being left out of your birthday, and I had to promise them a few things to pacify them. You're going to have to go on the cruise to Nowhere in fall, which has made Poochie very happy, and you're going to have to sell your Volvo, which I have to admit, I agree with Lucky about that, Lo. The new Volvo XC90 is pretty snazzy, and I'm sure BB King will like the smell of new carpet. And don't worry, he still won't have to jump to get in. You're going to have to hire Corinthia at the store, and she said she's willing to be trained. But to do what? I don't know. And last but not least, Lucky has signed you both up for Weight Watchers and enrolled you in some Silver Sneakers gym so you all can both get fit, though I love the way you look. I'm not going on that cruise. It's only 3 days, Lo, and I promised. I crossed my arm. Who's going to look after Poochie, Mama? She's bringing her too. I rolled my eyes and pressed my palm against my forehead. Lo, it'll make them happy. What about me? This feels more like blackmail. It is, but it's also called love. Wait, what does Sadie want? I rolled my eyes at him. My bad. But you've got so many friends, it's hard to remember them all. Sadie just asked if you would please come to her church just once or 3 times. Oh, hell, I say, and then catch myself. I suppose it wouldn't hurt for me to get in touch with the Lord this year, but I do not want to sit next to her because she is inclined to get the Holy Ghost. Wait a minute, I forgot. She sits with the choir now. Hallelujah. Then we were quiet. How much time do I have? I asked. Before your next birthday? He let out a chuckle and started shaking his head. I watched the orange sun disappearing behind the San Gabriel Mountains, and like magic, snow suddenly started to appear on the peaks. I waited for Carl to tell me he has also spoken to Jalecia and my sister, but he just turns the radio up with I'll Be Doggone by Marvin Gaye. When I'll Be Doggone by Marvin Gaye come on. When I woke up, Carl was pulling up to the velvet stand and my cell phone shivered in my lap. I thought I must have been seeing things. Ma? Happy birthday and happy New Year to you too, sugar. Thank you, I said slowly. I know you thought I forgot, but I don't forget important things. Why, thank you, I said, pointing to Carl. Then I placed my hand across my heart and pressed it. He put his thumbs up. What you doing to celebrate? Carl surprised me and we just drove up to Palm Springs. Does he golf? He used to. Gamble? No. Well, you two do not need to work on your tans. So what in the hell are you going to do in Palm Springs besides burn up? It's cool here, Mom. Plus, we're staying at a nice resort hotel. Well, that's nice. What's the dog's name again? BB King. I could have sworn it was Otis Redding. Anyway, did you bring him? No, I say shocked she cares, considering he always growled at her and wouldn't let her pet him. Did you put him in one of those doggy prisons? No, apparently Cinnamon's going to feed and walk him. I wouldn't trust her with my stuffed animals. Have you heard from her mother, who used to be your daughter today? Not yet, I say, which makes some of my joy disappear. Don't hold your breath. It's my birthday, Ma. I doubt she remembered. Something is wrong with that girl. She is troubled, but I don't think she can help it. Troubled? Yes, from substance abuse. Jalecia could very well be an alcoholic, but we've also caught her pinching Carl's arthritis medicine and the Percocet they gave me when I broke my ankle a couple of years ago after falling off a treadmill that I haven't been on since. This was, I'd come to believe, the real reason she'd been visiting me regularly before our falling out anyway. Ma, I'll come visit you on Monday. Don't bother, it's boring as hell here. I can't wait to get the hell out of here and go home so I can have 2 shots of Hennessy. I'm sick of being around all these sick old people. I just pretend I don't hear her say this. Ma, I've got to go. Carl is waving at me to hurry up. Call you when we get home. I was not telling the truth, but this was the most effective way to get my 86-year-old mother off the phone. I don't put my heels back on because my feet have swelled up, so I just carry them over to the seating area outside the registration office and sit down on a lovely green bench that would look great in our backyard. It's new because I don't recall it from our last visit here. I stand up to find the name of the manufacturer, but don't see one, so I take a picture of it. When I get home, I'll ask Carl if he can Google it and find out where we can buy it. Something tells me it didn't come from Home Depot or Lowe's. I sit back down and cross my arms and legs and just listen to the water running. There are fountains everywhere and hundreds of poinsettias surrounding them. I check my cell phone and there are a ton of text messages, but not one from my daughter. I look around at all the vacationers and obviously honeymooners here to ring in the new year. Everybody looks so happy. Maybe I should reach out to Jalecia. Maybe she's suffering or struggling with something she can't share. I do know Jalecia is not a real thief, and a year is too long to not speak to your own mother. I start to dial her number, but then I'm offered a glass of water with a slice of cucumber resting between tiny ice cubes. I take it and drink it in one gulp. You ready, baby? Carl asks as he comes out of the registration office and holds out his hand. I drop my phone inside my purse and slide my finger across his. I've been ready, I say in my sassy tone. Happy New Year, the driver of the golf cart say. We say the same to him as we sit in the back. We know this resort like the back of our hand. When we make the first right turn, I know it means Carl has managed to get our favorite room. He put his arm around my shoulders and rocked me slowly from side to side as we head down the pathway through the white stucco and chocolate trimmed villas. All 5 or 6 swimming pools are quiet, their chlorine gurgling finally at rest. The palm trees are lit up from the trunks, making their fronds look like giant green dreadlocks. The driver and Carl talk football, but when we reach our building, Carl realized he forgot something in the car. I ask for the keys and tell them of course I can let myself in. As they head back, I unlock the gate and saunter up the red clay stairs, which feel nice and cool on my bare feet. I use the same key to unlock the second gate when I reach our private outdoor terrace, where the gas logs are already burning in the fireplace. I push open the big wooden door and walk inside our gorgeous room with its doom beaming ceiling. It smells the way I imagine paradise does, clean and woody and like fresh mint. I drop my heels next to the door, toss my purse on the white duck-covered chair, take my earrings off, and set them on the table next to a dark green bottle I already know is expensive champagne. I pick up one of the two goblets. Why? I don't know. I set it back down next to the large plates of figs, square of dark and white chocolate, green grapes, and 4 or 5 different types of cheese. Beige crackers are spread out like cards on a blackjack table. I lay my jacket on the back of a chair. I eat a grape and decide to lie across a 4-post bed until Carl gets back. I press my cheek on the edge of a pillow. It feels nice and cool. I close my eyes, and after what feels like only a few minutes, I realize I must have dozed off. But when I look around the room and don't see or hear Carl, I call the front desk and ask if my husband is headed back to the room. They tell me he should have been there. He should have been here by now. So I get up and walk across the patio and open the first gate. And when I look down, there, slouched on the stairs on top of our luggage, a yellow gift box, is my husband. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 1. Woo, that was a long chapter. So this chapter 1, I'm 52. I'm 52. And this chapter I feel really, really connected to. It's really funny. So far, I'm feeling connected to this book and it's piquing my interest and I want to see how it's going to go. I like her attitude so far. Her friends seem kind of funny. And I'm just interested on how it's going to go. So at the end, she found her husband. So the tragedy that I read at the back of the book, it happened early in the book. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen. I'm not reading chapter 2 because this is already a long video. So see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.